Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kassiah. This is SiahSwag and I have a new tutorial for you guys today. I'm super excited to show you this one. I know I did the cutout video like a week ago telling you I was going to do a video. It's taken me a hot second. I had computer issues, but we're back up and running. This is going to be the Adena shoulder bag tutorial from Knotted Threads Co. And it is her most recent bag. And for those of you who have never sewn up a bag designed by Shannon, by Knotted Threads, you are going to be blown away. You're going to be blown away. She is such a detailed, to the point designer. Like, she thinks of every possible solution to every issue. It just goes together so beautifully every time. I love Shannon's patterns. So if you guys haven't tried one yet, you definitely should try this one. It's fun. It was different. It used some hardware that I haven't really used in a while and some techniques that I haven't used. And I really enjoyed making it. So it's not a fast make. You're not going to be able to sit down and just sew this one up. It's going to take you a hot second, but it's going to be 100% worth it. She labels this bag as intermediate, I believe, which I would agree with because it has some things that you kind of need to have some practice on. There is the tiniest bit of edge coating on your little ends, these little pointy tips here. She has you edge coat that. Do you have to do edge coating? You could do Mod Podge. You need something to seal up your raw edges. I would highly recommend it. And yeah, let's just go over these bags. Okay, so this was my first one that I did. I absolutely love it. These both will be for sale on my website if you are just like, I have to have that bag. This one, the materials are Wonderground and Tulip Bee for the solid and the inside. On both the bags, I use the recommended interfacing pretty much. Instead of foam, I used self-adhesive fleece on those pieces, and then Decaville light on these side ones. The base has light and heavy. Her interfacing and her details about that, I would follow it 100%. She does such a good job at showing you how to interface and knowing what works and what doesn't. One of my most favorite features of this bag is this bridge. Can you see it? This bridge? No, I'm showing you the handle. This bridge magnetic strap. It's a real, or magnet. How do I say it? This bridge magnet. There it is. It kind of sticks out. It's a little different than normal, magnetic snaps, how they just go together. It's just kind of got a fun little detail in there, which I really love. The other aspect about this bag that I'm absolutely in love with is this pocket, this pocket overlay. It's a zipper pocket and a slip pocket in one, and it is absolutely brilliant. It is brilliant. I could use this in so many other patterns. I love that so much. It would transfer to any lining in any bag, which is always amazing. And then you have the pretty bottom there. You guys, the strap is adjustable. It's got this cute little buckle. And it's just such a great design. Okay, that was my bag number one. Bag number two that we make in the video today is this one. It is all Tulip Bee vinyl on the outside and Wonderground on the inside. Can you guys see? Oh, it's so pretty. I keep putting the handle in your face. It's just a hard bag to show the inside of. It's super cute. I really love it. It's a nice big opening. It's got that overlay slip pocket, zipper pocket. On this one, I used a 14 millimeter snap. This one I used an 18. Both work. The 18 is definitely stronger, does better. So I would highly recommend that. All the hardware is from my website. And I'm trying to think any other details. It's just a great design, you guys. It is just such a cute design. I love it. All right. Thank you so much for your love and support. I hope this video helps you make this gorgeous pattern. All the details for everything I used are down below in the description, so go check that out. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I would really appreciate it. All right, so let's start sewing this bag. Okay, let's go over our pattern pieces for the Adena. There are not a ton of pattern pieces, but they're kind of pretty detailed in how they're cut. So just make sure you're paying attention to the direction and all of the instructions she gives on those. Okay, so I'm doing a monochrome type thing as you saw at the beginning. So I will go over my pieces here. We'll start with the base piece. I have my base piece all ready to go. I will install purse feet and do a top stitch around it off camera most likely, but here it is all prepped. I did a layer of Decaville Light, kind of a little bit more out of my seam allowances underneath. This is Decaville Heavy. So there's 2 layers, Decaville Light and Decaville Heavy. She does suggest that in the pattern, and I really like the shape it gives it in the end result of the bag. So that's my exterior. My accent pieces, there are 4 of these, 2 mirrored sets. Make sure you are mirroring your pattern piece. So you should have 4 when you're all left over. I interface those with the Decaville Light as suggested in the pattern. It will be left in your seam allowances for a reason. She does it this way on purpose, so it is supposed to be like that. My front main panel pieces, front and back. I did a self-adhesive fleece from Wonderground. I did that on my first bag as well. And I really like the shape it gives the bag. I think the end result is great. You can use foam if you have foam. I don't think it quite needs any Decaville Light if you are using vinyl. I am using a faux leather, the faux real vinyl from Tulip Bee. So it's a nice, good thickness already. So my side accent pieces, these are the external ones, okay? There's 2 of them. One has the strap connected to it. One does not, okay? You fold it down on that mark and cut one without. So the one that does have the handle on it, I have Decaville Light on the back as suggested in the pattern. And then again, I have my self-adhesive fleece on these 2 pieces. I have my lining accent pieces, okay? There are 2 of those. They're a little bit smaller than the exterior, and they just have some Decaville Light out of the seam allowances on the bottom pointy parts. One with the handle, one without again. My lining accent pieces, I think they're called top accent pieces. I have 2 of those, and I did do my self-adhesive fleece out of the seam allowances for those 2 pieces. I have my magnet bridge pieces. There are 2 of those. Decaville Heavy, not Decaville Heavy, Decaville Light on the back, just like the pattern. My 2 lining pieces, okay. My slip and zipper pocket pieces. And my facing. This is a very cool pocket. Do not skip it. It's really cool how she did the slip pocket and the zipper pocket all in one on this facing. So, or this overlay, I guess is what it's called, not facing. Really cool overlay. I love the technique, so I will be showing you that. I have my zipper and my zipper pull. Not a lot of hardware for this bag. That, and then I have my little buckle for the strap. I do sell these buckles in particular on my website in packs of 2, if you're wondering where to get those. So I'm doing that buckle. I am doing a strap connector bridge piece. It looks just like this. It's put on with 2 little screws. You do not have to have hardware for this part. She shows you how to do it with a piece of vinyl. It's just a loop to put your strap through. So I am going to use this. I don't remember where I got this particular one from. I am going to be getting these on my website very soon. I want to say this was Indo Love. I'll have to look that up. So I have one of those. I have a 14 millimeter magnetic snap. And then I have my purse feet, 5 of those, my nameplate, and I have some rivets. That is all we need for this bag. Let's dig in. 2 side notes real quick. I switched to an 18 millimeter magnetic snap. That's what the pattern calls for. I used a 14 millimeter on my first bag. It doesn't seem quite strong enough. So I'm going to see if the 18 millimeter size makes a difference. And then make sure that you have scraps of interfacing or something that you can hold the seams down with. So she has just regular woven interfacing that she suggests to flatten all those seams out. I'm going to use some self-adhesive woven interfacing for mine. And then I also have some foam cut out to put behind the screws on my purse feet. So just a little extra note. Okay, I'm going to just show you real quick. I'll just show you with one purse feet. I don't know if I usually show this. I usually have them on beforehand. So I did my top stitching around my base. All right. And now I have my purse feet all punched out. I use these screw purse feet. I saw them on my website. It's what I saw. They're kind of my favorite. So there's a couple things I do. I get some Loctite. It's glue for screws. Okay. Mine's a little messy. It's got a weird hole in it. So I have a wipe sitting here. So I get my Loctite. I get an extra piece of foam and double it over because you want that screw to be nice and tight on the back of there. So I put a little extra behind it, okay? So I'm going to put that through the foam and then put it through the hole here. And then I take my little glue and I very carefully just put the smallest little dab. It's just a tiny little dab of glue, okay? And then I'm just going to screw on the foot. It's super easy, but I have had purse feet come undone before on a bag because I didn't do the glue in it. So if you are doing screws with anything on your bag, I highly recommend putting some kind of glue on the screw like this Loctite. I just got it off of Amazon. I'm pretty sure it's in my Amazon shop. And then I will cover that with a piece of tape or self-adhesive interfacing to extra secure it. But that's how I do my purse feet. I'm going to go ahead and install the rest. Okay, before I begin, I put my nameplate on my main panel. I did the placement that she suggests in the pattern. And then my feet are all installed on my base. All the tape's on. We're good to go there. All right, so here we go. We are going to start with our side accent pieces. Okay, so I've got my first one here. I've got my mirrored accent pieces here. We're going to go over that in a minute. First thing I would highly recommend doing is the markings that she has, because the tip where they meet down here, that's going to be your starting and stopping point for the stitching. And at first I thought, it's not a big deal, but it actually is, guys. So make sure that you go on each side of this piece with the seam allowance that she gives in the pattern. And just draw that seam allowance. It's most important to know where it intersects down here at the bottom, because you're not going to want to sew beyond that point where they meet. Okay, so this point right here is the most important part to know. All right, after you have that marked, all right, so you want to lay out your side accent pieces. The first time I did this incorrectly, and I had to go cut out all new pieces. Your mirrored pieces, make sure you have them laying correctly. They have kind of like a straight edge up here and a curve, okay? You want that straight edge to be lined up with the top of this right there, this straight edge and this. And then when it comes over, it finishes out that curve. I think what I did wrong last time was I did it this way, where it was attached to the curve part and the straight edge was on the outer side of it. And obviously it didn't lay correctly because I was not paying close enough attention. So make sure you have your pieces laying correctly. You are going to take those right sides together, starting up here at the top with that straight edge right here. And we are going to clip that on. We want to sew these together along this long edge here. I'm going to clip this one on first. I'm going to sew from the back where I can see the seam allowance, but this is how it's clipped on. Okay. We're going to sew it at our seam allowance. You're starting all the way at the top, but then you are going to end where the two lines intersect. So I'm not going all the way to the bottom. I'm stopping where that line stops, okay? And I am using black thread, so it might be a little hard to see, but I stopped right there. On the back, you can see I didn't go all the way down. Okay, and you should be sewing through your Decaville. That's correct. All right. Beautiful. Now I want to do the same thing to this other side. All right, so I'm going to take it, make sure you're lining it up with that straight edge up here. Okay, right there. And when you fold it out, it'll be on that curve. You are going to be fighting this just a little bit. She staples hers in the pattern and in the video. I didn't find that I needed to staple this. I felt like clips held it pretty well. So it's totally your call which way you want to do it. So again, I'm going to start from the back here. I'm going to make sure this one's pulled out of my way. And I am going to start pretty much where I did my last stitch there on that point and come down. Okay, so our piece should now look like this. Okay, one big piece here. This bottom part should not be connected yet. We stopped and started at that point there. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to sew these two pieces together. So your side accent pieces down here need to be sewn together. So what we're going to do is line those two up along this bottom edge here, just to make sure they're even. Oops, that clip didn't stay. Okay, I've got those two lined up. And now I'm going to, that's just the thread. I'm going to kind of pull this out of the way too. I don't want to get this little black tail caught in it here. Now I'm coming from this edge in here, and I am going to sew at my seam allowance from the edge of this piece, and I'm going to sew down, and I'm going to stop where I get to my stitching right here. So you're pretty much just going to be connecting all of your stitching so it's one full piece. Okay, so do you see how I came here and I sewed to where my point was right there? So now I have one continuous row. So now they should all be connected right there, and you should have a nice point at the bottom. Next thing you need to do is you want this all to lay flat. You want these two side panels, seam allowances, to be laying into your center piece here. So what we need to do is trim this seam allowance down here so it lays flat. So I'm just going to take some scissors. She says you can trim it all the way down to 1/8 of an inch if you need to. I just kind of look at how far in I need to go. I'm going to leave this bottom piece right here a little bit longer. I did it pretty short last time, and then it was really hard for me to lay flat when I was doing this bottom seam allowance. So I'm going to leave that a little bit longer this time. But I'm going to trim away a good amount of this stuff here. That's probably about good. Okay. Do you see how I trimmed it away so it lays a little bit better? Okay. The last thing she suggests doing is getting a piece of interfacing of some kind. I use this woven self-adhesive. You don't need a lot. She has it cut kind of at an angle like that, okay? Just like that. And you're going to put it on your piece so the seams kind of lay out flat. Is this part absolutely necessary? I'm not sure. I think after you top stitch and stuff, it also will lay flat, but we're just gonna show you. Okay. It's just so it lays out flat, just like that. All right, I am going to top stitch. You can draw your seam right here. I don't, but you totally can. I'm just going to eyeball it and pivot and go back. So what you're doing is we are top stitching on this middle piece. Okay, our seam allowance is laying in towards this middle piece, and we're top stitching starting here, coming down and going back. So if you need to draw where you're stitching down here, go for it. I don't feel like I need to, so I'm not gonna do that. Sorry for the barking dogs. I'm gonna go about right there. One more. And then I'm just gonna pivot and come back up. I also do not have contrasting thread on this middle piece and the handle. I did that on purpose because you would have to be pretty dang accurate to have perfect stitching on these side pieces and your whole handle when you're done. So I would highly recommend starting off with a thread color that does not have a huge contrast with your material, just so it can hide little mistakes. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? We're supposed to lay the seam flat up here. It just helps with the bulkiness of our drop-in lining when we're done. I'll make sure and do it on the other side. I totally forgot. It'll be okay on just one side. But, okay. So there's what it looks like when you're done. I think that looks great. Okay. I am going to do the other side now. All right, piece number 2, we're gonna do the same steps. I'm gonna remember to lay my seams flat top and bottom. I'll show you what I mean by that. You can also sew them open as well if you want to. So I will show you that too. So draw on that seam allowance where you're gonna stop and start there. This one's a little bit trickier with your extra handle piece. So, all right, here we go. Let's do our first side. So again, straight edge is the one we want up against this top, okay? Just like that. Okay, there we go. Okay, stopped right there. Okay, let's put on the second side here. Okay, so I like to turn it over. Make sure this is flipped out of the way and you're not catching any of this seam in there, okay? And starting right there where you ended, I like to put my needle in where I need it to go. Okay, now the thing that I forgot to do last time was lay this top seam up here flat. So we're just gonna give it a little snip. And when we top stitch, we're gonna wanna sew it so it's flat like that. It will just help reduce the bulk for our drop-in seam allowance, okay? Just like that. You could tape it open or you could baste it right here along the top open if you want to. Totally up to you. And same thing for this bottom one. It's going to be laying flat. All right. So this piece down here, we want to connect. Line these two up. Here and here. Okay. So now I'm pulling this little piece out. So I'm not sewing that by accident. Okay, make sure that's out of your way. Seam allowance from the end, and you're meeting up to these stitches. Okay, so now it's all connected. Look at it. Beautiful, nice point. Okay, so now we're gonna do some trimming. I want this to stay flat, all right? I don't wanna trim right there, but everything else can go. A little bit more. Looks good. Okay, so I'm going to tape that. Open. And this part is just, it just helps with the whole way the bag lays when it's done, the way the seams lay, all that kind of good stuff. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Just kind of get it on there. Okay, beautiful. Okay, I'm now going to top stitch. Okay. Well, let's do it. My seam is open up here. I'm going to top stitch it with it laying flat and open like that. Okay, that looks awesome. I'm going to just do a little basting stitch top and bottom to get that seam to just lay flat. Just like that. Okay, I'm going to do the same up here. All right. Beautiful. All right, you should have 2 side panels all done. Next up. So I'm going to do my strapper keeper, my little bridge piece, on the side without the long handle on it. She gives you the measurements of how far down to do it. And she gives you instructions for an actual loop of a vinyl, as well as something like this hardware, okay? So there's instructions for both of them. I've got my center marked, how far down I need it. I'm just gonna lay it like this. There's no, I don't know, exact science on how to do the screws on this. So I'm centering it there, and I am just going to put a marking along that line where I want the holes for it. It should be pretty even. It looks pretty even. Okay. And then I'm just going to punch out the holes for those screws. I think I need to go smaller on this though. There we go. Okay. Right there. And I did do the extra bit of interfacing on the back. It's a Decaville. You can't really see it through the other interfacing, but it is there. Okay. There and here. Okay, I am going to take off my markings. You always want to make sure you take off your silver markings. And then we're going to install this little piece here. I just need 2. I don't need to put behind extra interfacing on this. It's already got some Decaville and some fleece. And I don't feel like there's going to be a lot of pressure, you know, put on this. So I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to put the first screw through here. And I'm going to put just a little dab of glue because it doesn't hurt. All right. All right. And then we're just going to install this. As I get glue everywhere. That's the hardest thing. I really need to get a new bottle of this stuff. It's all I got is totally defective. It should attach nice and tight. Looks good. I'm just going to wipe away any extra glue on there. Okay, there's my little stopper keeper. Next step. Okay, I did also cover it with a piece of adhesive just to keep those screws secured. Next, we are going to attach our side panels to our front main panel. All right, so we'll start with one of these sides. Okay, so I think which side do I want this to be? All right, this needs to be the strap side. All right. This one needs to be the strap side. Yeah, okay, so it is important that you do the right panels on here. So this is, I know this is my front main panel. This is my long strap, and the other one has the loop for the strapper keeper. You want the strap side to be on the right, okay? So we just attach these two. I'm gonna line up the bottom here. Do you see how it's straight along the bottom here? And we are going to sew all the way down that. It should line up pretty perfectly. Okay, so we're going to sew from here to here all the way down. We don't have to stop at any funky place, full seam allowance all the way down. Okay, so before you flip and top stitch, you want to do the whole cut and lay your seam flat. Okay, so I'll just be able to lay it flat like that. Okay. I want to top stitch with my seam allowance going towards the middle panel, okay? You always top stitch over your seam allowance. So if your seam allowance is laying this way, you top stitch over it here. If it was turned laying this way, I would be top stitching it along this panel. So make sure you pay attention to that. And let's go ahead and top stitch. That's what that looks like. All right, so now I want to take the other one and we are going to attach it onto this side. Same way. Okay. Just a minute. I need to move it up a little bit. Okay, here we go. Ruler in the trash. Okay. And now we want to top stitch. I want to make sure that seam's laying flat, top and bottom. Just gotta check my needle real quick. Yeah, it's getting a little sticky. We're gonna clean it. If you're using sticky interfacing like I am, that tends to happen. So just check it every so often. Clean it off with an alcohol wipe. And you should be good to go. Okay, now we need to attach back here. Okay, we're going to attach this to this back lining or back exterior to the exterior side panel. Here we go. Top stitch, open that seam at the top. All right, so before you connect these last two sides here, you're going to want, I'm probably going to take this over to my big table to do this. You need to turn it around, and we are going to be making a very visible marking along the edges of this. And that is going to help with our very end step for our drop-in lining. You're pretty much marking your drop-in lining placement. So, and it's easier to do along this curve when it's all open right now. I'm just putting some tape real quick along these seams that I want to stay open. Right, we need those to open. So I'm going to take this to my cutting table. It's pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to take a ruler, mark my drop-in, and then we'll finish sewing these layers together. Okay. Actually, I'll just show you real quick how I'm going to do it, and then I'll take it over there and do it. Okay, so I have my little ruler. We want to mark 3/4 of an inch down. So you kind of have to do it in little increments. So right here, and then I'm going to slide it over a bit right here, slide it over a bit right there. You're just going to do that along all of your curves along the top, okay? Do you see how it kind of makes those marks? And then you can connect those. It does not have to be the most perfect marking, just gives you a general idea, because that's where we're going to be folding this top edge down and taping in the very end. So I'm going to do it all along my top curves. All right, so I have that curve marked all along the top now. And this doesn't have to be perfect here. It'll all taper in and you'll figure it out. That's not a huge deal, but just make sure that's marked. We are going to sew the last two sides together here. It's going to be kind of a funky little fold together, but just get those pieces to lay where you need them. Clip it, and we're going to sew just like we did the other sides. And then the top stitch is going to be just a little tricky because it's, you know, you're top stitching through the tube of the bag, but you can do it. It's not impossible. Just go slow. It'll be hard to show on camera because it's like impossible to get the camera actually in there in between the layers, but I'll try my best. All right, here we go. Okay, so now you should have your full bag together here. All right, I'm going to open my seam up here and here. All right. So what I'm gonna do is, I always forget which is the easiest way. I think I'm gonna go like this. Yeah, and I'm gonna top stitch in and through like that. Does she say which way she recommends? Oh, she suggests you do as far as you can one way and then go the other way. I think I can do it all one way. I did on the other one, so I think I'll be okay. I'll start at the bottom just because it's a bigger opening to go through. And we'll try it this time. Make sure it's laying flat as you go in. And at one point, you're going to have to kind of look through, through the tube to sew, which is where it can get tricky. But you can do it. Like I said, it's kind of impossible to get a camera to show you. Not the first bag we've had to do this on, though. You can do it. Okay. So now, it should all be top stitched. We did it. Yeah, looks okay. It's not the best top stitching I've ever done, but it looks okay. All right. So after this, we are now going to add our base to the bag. I need to do some center markings that I haven't done yet on this back panel and my base, and then we will attach them. Okay, so we are going to put our base onto our bag. I have my centers clipped on the base and the bag. I'm going to start with my centers and then we'll clip it all in. We will do some snips along the bottom of our bag to get that base to fit in correctly. What I like to do is do a basting stitch all around the bottom of my bag first, and then I like to do it with my full seam allowance. And then I like to do another row right beside that one. So that's a little excessive. It's a lot. It is the way that I have the best results. So a lot of people like to staple and just go for it, right? So the basting for me is in place of stapling my material. So if you're a stapler, go for it. Staple your material, keep it close to the edges. Don't go near your seam allowance, and you should be good to go. But I am going to baste first. I just have the best results with that. So, all right, here we go. Have some nice strong clips for this part. You want everything to stay put. You don't want your layers to be shifting as you sew. So that's pretty important as well. Mine, you know what? I think I'm going to be able to get away without doing snips. It's laying really nicely with this material. So I think I'm good. Let's try it. Yeah, I think I'll be okay. It's pretty nice. Okay, looks good. Again, basting stitch, full seam allowance, and then right next to it. So I'm going to do 3 rows of stitching. Seems like a lot, but my base is going to look good. All right, let's do it. Okay, I like to make sure that I caught my layers, nothing moved. It looks pretty good. So now I've got it nice and basted together. So when I do my bigger seam allowance, nothing's going to shift on me, right? And I can do a really good job at that. So that's the idea. So now I'm going to take it at my main seam allowance all the way around. And then I will do another row right beside that one so they don't pull when I turn the bag out. All right, here we go. So when I come to these corners, I really can manipulate the material, kind of, you know, fold it, push it, so that the material is laying flat as it goes through, okay? You need to be sure and work that in there. Do you see how I kind of like move it as I go and push it? If I didn't do that, I would probably have a pucker and it would be uneven. All right, I'm not even gonna take this off. Now I'm gonna go and do another row of stitching right to the right of that stitch line that I just did, okay? And that's gonna reinforce it for when we turn it out. It's gonna help it not pull and not have my stitches showing in the end. Oh my goodness. Get those threads out of there. Okay, so did my rows. It looks good. I'm going to, I think I'm going to pinking shear this down a little bit along the curves, and then we will turn this right side out and see what we got. Okay, so I am just going to trim these curves with some pinking shears here. Don't really need to do much for the rest. And then I have my hairdryer sitting here. I'm going to give it a little blast of heat before I turn it out. It just really helps, especially with my hands. It just really helps with the turning process. Okay, so I'm just going to give it a little blast. Let's see what we got. Okay, I'm just gonna kind of get those curves there. Oof. That is pretty. Those wrinkles will come out. Those are just from turning my base. No puckers. It looks pretty dang good. I think I'm happy with it. And yeah, so there is the exterior of our bag. Beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna give it another blast of heat and kind of just, you know, smooth out these little wrinkles, and we are going to head to the lining. All right. Okay, we are going to move on to our magnetic bridge piece. It's not a necessary part of the bag. You could just put the snap on the lining pieces, but this is really cool, so you should at least try it once. Okay, so your piece is, there's a shorter side and a longer side. Okay, I do the markings that she has in the pattern. Here's my center line here, and then 2 lines on each side here. I've got tape on it. So I've notched my shorter side so I know which one that is. I want to start with this longer side here. I'm going to take the tape off of that longer side. And I'm going to fold this all the way to the farthest line over here, okay, which is all the way to this side here. When I did it the first time, I folded this to the center line. That is incorrect. You want to fold it all the way and meet that center or that other line. Okay, so once you have that folded over all the way to that 1-inch line over here, you are going to top stitch down along this edge. So now your piece should look like this. Okay, so you're going to peel this back up. You just taped it, so it should peel right back up. And now you are going to take this side, the shorter side, And you are going to fold it to your other 1-inch line on the other side, which is underneath the piece you just sewed. My Decaville's kind of off center, so it's fighting me. Okay, which is right there. Beautiful. And then you're going to fold that over just like that in the end. But for top stitching, we're just going to keep that up out of our way. Now we want to top stitch along this side. Beautiful. All right, so when we're done, these two side seams should match your folds and this should overlap. Just like that. Oops. Now we want to mark our placement for our snap. Which I'm just going to fold it in half. Maybe. How long is this? Let's see. Oh, yeah. So you should be able to measure in right about there. That should be your center. Mark your center out, okay? You're going to get your washer. And we're going to be installing our washer right in the center along those lines. So I'm just going to place it first right where I need it to go and draw my cut lines there. I'm going to open it up. Open up both pieces because you're hiding the prongs underneath this back part, okay? So open up both pieces before you cut your magnet pieces. I don't have my fingers behind it. We are clear. And I'm just going to make my cuts there. Okay. Doesn't matter which side you install first. Like that. Washer. Where did it just go? Did it fall in the crack? There it is. Blend it in with my stickers. Okay, and I am going to, she has the magnet or the prongs pressed out. I'm going to press them out because you don't want that extra bulk in the middle for this, I think. Just like that. I am going to put just a little piece of interfacing over those prongs. Okay. All installed. And then we glue. All right. So take whatever glue you have. I have some Eco Weld leather weld adhesive that works pretty good. So I'm going to be putting some glue all in here. And then this comes out pretty dang fast, so I don't need a ton. And then we're just going to let this sit and get all nice and adhered. I will repeat for the other side. Okay, I'm putting that first layer down, and then I'm going to also put a little glue right under here. Just a little bit. just a little bit. And I'm just going to put some clips and let it dry. Okay. You want that to be all one. Beautiful. Okay, so that's one. It's going to dry. I'm going to repeat for the other side. I won't do that on camera. I'll just do it real quick off camera. But repeat the same steps for the second side. And then you just put those to the side to dry while we do the other steps of the lining. All right, so we're going to skip the magnet installation part because I'm letting it dry. I'm going to go to the lining part where we're adding our slip pocket and our zipper pocket, all that kind of good stuff. So I've got my lining here. I've got my center marked, and it's kind of hard to see, but you need to do some markings on your lining for placement. It's all in the pattern. And this is my slip pocket piece. Same thing. Put your markings on that. All right, so I have my slip pocket piece here, or my overlay piece. We're going to put some tape on it to just hold it in place while we are sewing it on, basically. Which I should have done ahead of time. Sorry about that. Here we go. It doesn't need to be anything crazy. Just a couple pieces so it doesn't move. Okay. Beautiful. All right, now this marking that you did on there is the placement for this pocket piece, this overlay. And take that off. And I'm placing it right where the markings are. So the top of this overlay should line up with the top of your lining piece, right? About right there. Just like that. Okay, so now I want to just attach this overlay on. I'm going to sew around the outside edge. All right, awesome. Okay, that's sewn on there. Now, after that's on, you want to cut away the material from the back, just like you do on any normal zipper overlay. Okay, it's all out. Can't see it from your front stuff. This didn't get cut all the way when I did it. Just a minute. Okay, there we go. Beautiful. All right, so the next thing we want to do is do some taping on the back of our overlay. We want a piece of tape right above this line that we drew. I have all the markings that she tells you to draw on this, okay? So right there above that line. And then one right below that here. And then one right below your slip pocket cutout here. I'm trying to remember when I did this, I thought, well, one of those wasn't really necessary, but I don't remember which one it is. So we're just going to do all of them. And then you want two, or one along this side here and one along this side here. Okay. And that's just to keep all of your pieces in place where they need to go. All right. All right. So now I'm going to take this piece here. I want to put another piece of tape right by the line that we drew. Right there. And now I'm going to cut halfway down this line right here. Not all the way. If you wanted to figure out, okay, where's my halfway line? You could do a crease right there. Okay, that's my halfway. Right there. Which is about, how deep of a cut is that? That's about a 3/8 inch cut. Okay, and you're cutting on that 1/2 inch line that we made. Okay, so you're just cutting away like that. And you're folding the center piece down to that line and taping it. You're just pretty much making it a finished edge because that's going to be what you're sewing onto that slip pocket right there. Okay. Awesome. All right. So now we want to take this piece here. We are going to take, which piece? This bottom piece. This bottom one. Right there. And you want to put it so your slip pocket is right side up. Wrong side down. Okay? And you're going to center it along your slip pocket opening here. So pretty much from dot to dot along that slip pocket opening line. So here's my slip pocket line. I'm placing it right along there. Okay. So I'm going to flip this over. And now I want to stitch from this dot down to this dot. And that will attach this bottom slip pocket part on. Okay. And I think I'm going to pull through my stitching. Last time I didn't, and it just looked kind of messy. So we are going to be pulling through our stitches on this part. Okay, and I'm going to kind of keep it open right there, just so I can kind of see where I'm going. Okay, so I stitched from here to here, and it caught the slip pocket piece on the back. I'm going to pull those through and tie real quick. I think I'm also going to melt. Just going to melt that right there. All right. So next thing I want to do is take off this piece above it of tape, just like that. And you're going to bring the raw edge up to that piece of tape right there. Okay. And now I'm going to do another row of stitching, starting here, ending here, and that attaches the bottom part up. And then we'll close her up along the sides. I'm going to try and start and stop exactly where my other one did, right there. Okay. One more. That's pretty good. All right, so that's what that looks like. Ooh, pretty. And then you have your slip pocket. Isn't that cool? All right, so pull through, tie, and then we'll close off the sides of this pocket. And then we'll add our zipper pocket on top. So cool. I love the way she did this whole zipper slip pocket overlay. I think it's super genius. Okay, keep hitting the camera, sorry. Let's close up the sides. So you just want to turn it over and we're just sewing on the sides here and closing that up. All right, so slip pocket installed. Let's move to the zipper pocket. Okay, so for the zipper pocket, we've got this here. I put tape on this. Doesn't necessarily need to be on here. I forgot how to do this for a second. Okay, so you want to put the tape on the right side on the edge here, and we are actually going to sew this on at the seam allowance in the pattern. And I cut my zipper a little longer just so it's easier to put on my pole when I'm done. Okay, so there's that. We're gonna take our lining. I have some markings on here to line up my pocket with, so it's nice and centered in there. So the first thing we're gonna do is get this aligned in here. So I want this here. All right, so we want it to lay right in there, but we want to make sure it's even and lined up correctly. So that is what this line and all of these markings are for. We're going to take off this tape here. Again, I accidentally put tape on it. I forgot we put tape on here and we don't necessarily need it. We got tape here and we got tape here. I'm going to take this and place it. My edges of my pocket are going to line up with those markings that we did there and with the line that we drew earlier on the overlay when it was being prepped. Make sure you do all the prep work, guys. because all of her markings and everything that she has throughout the pattern, it all ends up helping so much on all the pieces. Okay, so once it's in like that, you are going to want to flip this pocket down to sew this first. So I'm going to do another little strip of tape right here just to keep that down out of my way. So the top of your zipper tape should be even with the top of the lining. Do you see how it's all even up here? And then this should be nice and straight. That looks great. That looks really good. Okay, so what I'm gonna do first is a row of stitching on the bottom from here over to here, okay? Again, I'm not going to back stitch, pull through my stitching. I want it all to look nice and even. Here we go. Okay, that should catch it right there. And then we'll bring this up to the top here and we'll finish out our box. So I'm going to pull this through first, tie those up, and we'll finish. Beautiful. I'm going to put tape along the bottom here and flip it up. So this is what we're looking at. Again, I accidentally put this tape on here. It doesn't need to be on there. Okay, I'm going to put my pull on first. Don't forget to put your zipper pull on if you haven't yet. And then we'll finish out that box. Okay. Cute. All right, so now we just need to close up the sides and then we can work on that. My magnet bridge pieces are probably all dry, so we will work on that next. So I'm going to close the sides up here. And you can trim off if you had extra zipper tape as well. Trim that all off. she pretty? Look at that. Okay, move on. Okay, so I already did one side. It's done the same way. We're going to add the magnet bridge onto our upper lining piece. So there's my first one. It looks good. I think mine's a little off center. Hopefully it won't matter though. Okay, so here is my second piece. I have already done my marking. So I did my drop-in lining marking on these pieces. And then I found my center. I measured out for the cuts that you need to do. It's all on the pattern. Okay, the measurements for that. Make nice even cuts. I just use my blade tool. A little less than an inch because your bridge is about an inch wide. So you want it just a little bit less than what your bridge actually is. So it fits nice and snug. Okay, and then once you have that cut, you're going to do another line, another guideline an inch away from that. Just like that. And we're going to put a piece of tape on the inside of that line. Okay. Of the second marking that we made. Oops, that was too big of a piece. That's okay. It's fine. It's fine. All right. We're going to take our bridge piece. I'm going to put it in. So I didn't think about this on my last bag. This fold over piece here, this raw edge, I'm going to put it in here so that the raw edge is facing down towards the bottom of my bag so you can't see it from the top. I didn't think about that with my first bag. It doesn't make a huge difference, but I thought, oh, that would have been good to think about. All right, so I'm going to put it in that first one of those cuts, and I'm going to put it all the way in to that 1 inch line. That's going to be my guideline for how far to push it through. And then I take the tape off and I am going to just stick that on to hold it in place. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to take it, put it through the other slot here. Okay. And I want to line it up with that line right there. Beautiful. Okay, so you want to cover this with something. I'm using my self-adhesive woven. You can put you could put some big old duct tape. You could use some interfacing that you have to heat press on there. Whatever you have available to you. You just kind of want to all hold that in place, right? So I'm going to put that over it. Okay. Next thing you want to do is we want to do some stitching. So I want to stitch right along this raw edge here on both sides, here and here. Okay. Top stitch. I am going to back stitch. It's not the prettiest, but I feel like it's more secure for what we are going for here. So totally up to you what you want to do. But I kind of stay within that bridge connector for my stitching. Okay, just like that. And now I'm going to do this side. Oh my goodness. I keep hitting the camera, guys. Sorry about that. It's nice and close to me. All right. Okay. So that's what the back looks like. And that's what the front looks like. And I just want to melt any little threads sticking up. I don't want those. Pretty good. Last thing you want to do is put rivets on each side. So I'm going to poke a hole here and here, insert the rivets, and then these are, oh yeah, it looks good. These are good to go. Pretty easy, right? I think it is such a cute way to do a magnetic snap. I would highly recommend at least trying this once. I think it's super cool how she came up with that. You really could add this to so many different bags too. Love it. Okay, next step. Okay, we're gonna start putting this lining all together. I did some markings first before we start on these inner side panel pieces. You want to mark that drop-in seam allowance there along the top edge. And when you get to here, so your strap's 2 inches wide, I kind of mark my center and then kind of taper my seam allowance towards that center. It'll work out when you're all folding it. It'll kind of go naturally where it needs to go. So don't stress too hard about that part, but you need to draw that seam allowance along there and then, or drop in. And then you need that same seam allowance that we did with the exterior pieces. You need to mark that here because that's going to be that point again where we stop and start the stitching when we're attaching it. So make sure you mark both of your panels like that. And then for this side of your lining, you have a seam allowance that you are going to need to have a zipper foot because you're going to be sewing along this zipper here. So I changed to my zipper foot to do this side of the lining and then I'll switch back. But just keep that in mind when you are doing that. So we'll do this side first since I have my zipper foot on there. I'm going to unzip it and line up my centers, which I thought I had marked on here, but I don't see it. So we are just going to, although it should be the same width. So, but we're just going to do that just to make sure everything lines up nice. Okay. Match up those centers, clip it all on, and then we are going to sew at our seam allowance across, and then we will flip the piece up and top stitch. Okay, just like that. Here we go. And make sure you move that zipper. Okay, that looks good. So you want your seam allowance to go towards the top. Okay, usually on bags like this, it goes down towards the bottom, but for this one, you want it to go up towards the top. The seam will be top stitched. So you can cut this. Mine's not very thick. I'm just going to leave it. All right, so flip it up and top stitch. Ooh, isn't that pretty? Ah, it looks so good. Okay, I'm going to change back to a normal foot and attach my other side. Now, if you wanted to add a pocket to the other side of the lining, you totally could. This bag is big enough. There is enough room for that. It's totally, you know, your call for that part. If I was maybe making this bag for myself, I might add another pocket on the other lining. Yeah. Up to you what you want to do. All right, I'm just going to mark my center here. And here we go. Let's add this part. Okay, same thing. Awesome. All right. Got both our top pieces on. Let's head to the next step. Okay, so this next part, it's important that you're sewing the right panel to the right sides of your bag. So you want to get the zipper panel piece because that's going to be on the back side of your bag. Okay, you have to make sure you place everything correctly. You want to get your inner side accent piece without the strap, okay? The one without it. And you are going to put it on the left side of your zipper pocket panel, okay? We are putting it up here at the top. Oh, hi, Miss Okie. You want to align the top edge here and then go down. Okay, we're going to clip it down. Now again, I'm not sure if this shows up on camera. I have my seam allowance drawn right here, and there's my little cross point. That's going to be my starting and stopping point for my stitching, just like we did on the exterior. All right, I'll start there and come all the way up, and then we'll add the other side to this. So it's pretty much the same thing that we did on the outside pieces, but now we're just doing it on this small little top piece, okay? And you want to go all the way to the top. It's easier to show you on the back. See, I stopped right there, went all the way, and I stopped right there where my marking is. Okay. Now I want to take my other lining piece, this one here, And now we're attaching this side to it because it's going to be in the middle of these two pieces. So now I'm attaching it to my other lining, okay, right here. Okay, so, whoops. It is clipped now. It's got both pieces here and it's in the middle. So now, again, I'm going to sew it down to that point, okay? Make sure all of this is kind of out of your way. You don't want to catch anything else with it, but meet up those corners, that corner. All right. Okay, so when you're done, it's not all the way down to the bottom, right? See how it's got a little bit there, but it's right there. Okay, so now we want to attach the two lining pieces along here. Okay, so we are going to clip these together. And just like we did on our exterior pieces, when we come up here, we're going to meet this seam with this one. And we're going to end right there where that one is. And then it makes it all one piece. Really cool how she designed this. Like, seriously, when it all comes together, you're like, that is so cool. Okay. And I forget. No, okay, here we go. So same seam allowance going all the way up here with these pieces. Okay, see how I met up with those stitches right there? When you open it, you have that nice point. Oh, my seam moved a tiny bit right there, but that's okay. It's okay. I'm not gonna stress about that. So again, with this whole part right here, you need to kind of trim this seam down so it lays nice. So just cut away some of these pieces. You just want it so it lays, and I think we top stitch on the outside pieces this time. So this time we want our seam to lay, right? We want our seam to lay flat like that this time. So when you trim that, oh, that's what you're supposed to do. You're only supposed to take like a little notch, I think, but that's okay. That works. Yeah, so for this one, if you just do a tiny little notch right here, it releases it and it'll lay flat. That's what it was, but that's okay. If you trim it too, it's not the end of the world. You could put a piece of stabilizer right there if you want. I don't think I'm going to. I don't feel like it's really needed on this one. I am going to do this, and you want this seam up here to lay flat. Okay. I'm not clipping into my stitching, just close to it. And you want that to be able to lay flat. All right. So now we are going to top stitch. I did do this a little bit differently than she has in the pattern. I totally forgot to say this. So in the pattern, when you're top stitching these two side panel pieces or these two main body pieces, she has you start like right here, come down and over. Because then when we top stitch here, she connects it to that stitching. For me, on my other one, all I did was I came down here, pivoted, and went back up, and it looked good that way too. So I think either way will probably work. And I am going to check my bobbin. We look good. All right, we're still good. Started with a full bobbin. We're still looking good on that. And we're more than halfway through, so that's good. All right, so now I'm going to top stitch this lining. I'm going to open that seam up top, and I am laying the seam allowance towards this lighter gray panel, towards my main lining, and top stitching down that. I went a tiny bit wonky right there. I could feel it, but it still looks good. All right. I went, that's okay. I didn't do that on my last bag. Okay, so now we need to repeat for the other side. I already have all my markings drawn on here, so I'm good with that. So now we are just going to connect this just like we did with this first side, okay? Stopping at that crossed intersection area. Okay. Connect the other, oh my gosh. Connect the other lining piece. Okay, and I'm going to start where my stitching ended down here. All right, now I'm going to connect these. Ouch. Gotta love plastic clips. All right, let's sew this together. All right, so like I said last time, I forgot that all you have to do, if you don't want to trim down this seam like I did, is kind of give it a little notch right there. And that'll release this. And it'll lay down. I do like to trim this though, because mine's kind of bulky right there. So I'm just going to trim mine. And it should lay down. See? Look at that. And again, if you want to put something on that seam so it lays flat, you can. I'm okay. I think mine looks fine without it. I am going to trim this anyways though, guys. I liked mine better, just trimmed a little bit. I feel like it laid a little bit better. Okay. So now I want to top stitch that. Open this seam. Let's do it. This side's a little trickier because now you're dealing with, you know, the other side of your lining here, but not as hard as our exterior was. Okay, looks good. Woohoo! All right, all top stitched. Last thing we need to do, yeah, close up the lining. All right, here we go. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So we want to line up our two bottom pieces here. We need to sew those together, and then we just box our corners. And then we have a ton of taping to do. So we have to tape down both the lining and the exterior top and handle for the drop-in seam, or the drop-in bag. So it's going to take a hot second to do that. But once we get that all taped and put together, we can sew the layers together. Yay! Okay, just like that. And then you want to take your corners here and we want to box them. You can either nest your seams or lay them flat. Totally up to you. I think I'm going to lay my seams flat and open for this, maybe. Come here. Oh my goodness. My material doesn't want to cooperate. There we go. I'm going to lay mine open. Box her up. You can also trim that down a little if you want. Now I'm going to do the other side. Okay, you guys. Oh, baby. We are all done with our lining. You guys see how beautiful that is? It's hard to show. Can you see that? It looks good. It's going to fit like perfectly into our bag. Okay, let's start taping. Okay, so I already have my lining all folded down. So I did tape all along above that drop-in lining line, and then I folded my top seam down to it. I did notches along my curves, so pretty much the entire bag, right? Along all the curves. They are tiny. They are 1/8 inch deep, about 1/4 to a 1/2 inch apart. Just be aware not to make them crazy big or else it'll show. But you definitely need to do it in both the lining and the exterior. So I have this all folded, even the handle. Do you see the handle's all folded into the middle? So I'm going to show you, I'm going to try and show you with the lining. It's kind of hard to show, honestly, just because hands in the way. So I'm going to show, I already clipped the other side. I'm just going to show you my clipping. I start about here and I just use my nice sharp scissors and I'm just putting the tiniest little 1/8 inch snips into this curve of the entire bag, basically, except the handle, right? Oops. Okay, so I've got them clipped all. I already did this side. This side's already all clipped. I put tape all along my drop-in line, all along my handle. And now I'm going to just sit here and we are going to fold that raw edge in to my line, get it all lined up. I'm going to use quite a bit of clips to hold everything in place. For me, it's helpful to be on a big table here and not at my sewing machine for this part, because I am going to use my seam roller to kind of press this handle so it stays really nice. I used thicker tape for the handle. It seems to hold it a little bit better. So yeah, here we go. We're just going to sit here and fold this all in and get it situated so we can drop this into with the lining. Okay, when I get to about here, I'm going to stop. I'm going to take my little roller here and just want this to stay in place. I don't want it to come up. I'm just going to press that down. Beautiful. All right. This is the part that's kind of hard to show. I'm going to do the best I can. We're going to take the tape off here. And now we're just folding this to our marked line that we did. And this kind of just meets up and lays pretty nice. Make sure your seams are all flat where you want them to be. Mine, I think I need to cut mine down just a little bit more. Mine are a little bulky. Ugh. It's just hard to figure out how to hold the bag when you're doing this. All right, here we go. Okay, you're just folding it in. all along. Okay, so that side's all down. Now I got to work on the other side. Okay, so I have now both the lining and the exterior folded down. Let's, ooh, she looks pretty. Let's put these two together. Let's see what we got. Okay, so my handles line up on the right side. That's always a good thing there. Oh my gosh, this is so pretty. Oh, okay, so now we need to clip these layers together, get them to fit correctly. Yeah, here we go. I'm pretty sure I have my centers marked here, so I'm gonna start with my center notches and just kind of fit everything together. Had a little thread poking up there. All right, I'm gonna go that way first, and then we'll go this way. Okay, now I'm gonna start with this center and go out like that too. I didn't have my center marked on this side. We'll get it. About right there, I think. Sorry for the barking dog. Front door, my storm door is open, so she can see anybody who's walking past our house. I need to go close it. Okay, so this lining is a little bit smaller for a reason. From the way the handle is supposed to lay like this, if the lining is the same size as the vinyl, it will lay weird. So make sure as you're clipping along it that you're laying the vinyl this way, the way it needs to be, the way your handle is going to go, and everything will fit a lot better. So as you're clipping, make sure it's hanging like this. And you might have a little extra overhang on one or the other, and that is totally normal. You just don't want to have crazy bumps anywhere. Smooth that out. That looks good. When it's laying flat, it'll be bumpy, and that's okay. It's when it's curved, it needs to be nice and flat with each other. Okay, that one looks good. I'm just gonna work over here on this side real quick. And again, you want it going in like this, right? Whoops. Okay, so beautiful. It is all clipped together. Next step. Okay, so before we move on, we need to make our pointed end on both sides of our strap. So you're going to measure 1 inch up and make a mark. And then you want to find the center of your strap. At the center, just about. Okay. You're going to cut from the center to that 1-inch line. You're just going to, on this strap part, do one side. And then after you sew it, you'll even it up with the other. So I'm going to go like this. From here up. And then same. Line up my scissors. Okay, so that makes our little point, right? I need a wipe. I don't have any wipes here. That's okay. And then you've got your little point. So when we sew it, we'll sew along that, and then afterwards we'll trim the rest of that off. So same thing for this little edge right here, okay? You want to do the same thing. Okay, and then I want to make or do my center, which is right there, and do my cut from here to here and here. She says you could put some glue in there. I used really big tape this time, so it's kind of not coming up for me. Maybe right there it is a little bit. You just want to make sure it's all staying together. We are going to use some edge coat, and we will edge coat the tips of these. It really does make a difference. I highly recommend it. It is the smallest of edge coating, and it's totally worth it for the finished product of your bag. Trust me, you're going to want to do it. But we'll do that after we stitch it all together. All right, so we're going to go to the cylinder arm, and we are going to sew this all to one big piece, and we'll almost be there. All right, here we go. So I will tell you from my first bag, because they are a little bit different in size right here, I didn't catch it. My exterior kind of slipped farther out, so I'm going to have to pay attention to the curves right here. And she says to start at the very end right here. I have pen on there still. And not to backstitch. I'm going to backstitch just because my thread matches my material, and I'm okay with it showing. So, but we are going to start right there at the tip. Hold my threads. All right, here we go. Sometimes I gotta get the feel of my machine again because I haven't sat on it in a hot second. Okay, here we go. Okay, so again, this is where my last one kind of slipped a little bit right here on this curb. So I'm going to be sure that I'm getting both of my layers here. All right, all done with the top stitching. Not all done with the bag. All done with the top stitching. I'm going to make sure I got all my layers. Hey, looks good. All right. So the next thing we need to do is edge coat. We need to edge coat these two pieces. So I'm going to edge coat. I'm going to trim them up so they're nice and even. I'm going to do 2 layers of a base coat and 2 layers of a black. And then we'll come back after that and punch our holes, install our buckle, all that kind of good stuff. And then we'll be done. Okay, we are at the tail end of this bag. I have my edges all painted. They're black. Looks good. We just have to do some holes to attach our handle. Okay, so all of the measurements for the holes are on the pattern. So I'm just going to take my ruler and do those markings real quick. You have 3 different holes you're going to do on this shorter end, okay? One's where your little buckle goes through. Your little buckle prong. And then the other ones are going to be, oh, did I do that right? Nope, just a minute. I was holding my ruler the wrong way. All right, first one is right here. Make sure I can see that. Okay, and then from there, I'm going to do another one. I'm just trying to get it centered as best possible. Oh, that was my other one right there. That's what I was doing. And then my last one. Here. And right there. Okay, so I've got three markings. We're going to punch those. I just have a little handy dandy hand tool here. There's the first one. Second. Third. All right, so we want to put this, I'm looking at the picture just so I don't tell you guys wrong. Okay, so your buckle has a little angled piece here. Okay, so make sure that when you put this on, it's going the right direction. So you're gonna put it through the solid one here and then put the little pin buckle part through right there. Okay, come on, baby. There we go. Okay, just like that. And then what's gonna happen is this is gonna go down like that. Okay. And now we want to rivet this strap down with those, okay? So I'm going to just make sure it's where I want it, centered, and then I want to mark where those lines are going to be, or those holes, sorry, not lines, those holes. I can see it right there and right there. Okay. Beautiful. And now I'm going to take rivets. Okay. So that's the first part. Okay, that's what it looks like in the back. That's what it looks like from the front. I'm gonna go press that on my rivet press. But before we do that, we are gonna do the holes, the marks for the strap, okay? I need to refresh my brain. All right, so measurements are on here on the pattern. And you want 8, I believe, total. 8, right? And you just really want to get them centered. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. You just really want to make sure that these are nice and centered as you're going. So I just take a nice big ruler. The strap is 1 inch wide. My pen's not the best. And I'm just going to sit here and do my markings all the way down. So 8 total holes. You just want to make sure they're nice and even, okay? And then I just use my hand press, makes pretty good holes here. My leather hand hole tool. If you want to use a hammer and a hole punching tool, that's great. However, you get the best results, do that. How many holes is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay. Beautiful. Now I'm just going to punch those holes and try and make them nice and centered. There's 1. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So I still need to press these rivets, but I'll go ahead and kind of put this through so you can see. Easy peasy. However long you want your strap to be. I don't know, depending on. And there it is. Pretty easy, actually. It's not as hard as you would think it'd be. The edge painting just takes, you know, whoops, I didn't put it back through this buckle too. It goes obviously down there. Silly me. And then down here. There we go. Yeah. Not pretty. All right, guys, that is our Adena all done. Ooh, baby. Okay, guys, we are all done with this Adena shoulder bag. I love how it turned out. It is such a cool design. I hope you guys go try this. It really isn't that difficult of a make. Let me know if you guys have any comments, questions. I will try and answer them. And I hope this tutorial is helpful. You'll find everything you need for this bag down in the description below. And please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate it. It helps me out. And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.